Right, last time we learned to simplify, multiply, and divide rational functions. This time we're going to work on adding and subtracting. So the first part of the notes focuses on adding and subtracting when you have common denominators already. And if you remember when you were taught to learn how to add and subtract fractions, you can't do that until you have the same denominator. So on number 1, we do have the same denominator. They're both 15. So because they have the same denominator, I'm going to add the numerators and then keep the same denominator. So 6x plus 4x is 10x. And then I keep the same denominator as 15. So that's my answer. However, if you can reduce it, you should. There's no groups because there's no pluses or minuses, but I can divide these each by 5. And so that gives me 2x over 3 as my final answer. Okay, number 2, now I'm just subtracting. Remember, we're just going to change the subtraction to plus and minus, but everything else is the same. We have common denominators, so our denominator is going to remain 12, and then we subtract the top, so 3 minus 7 would give us negative 4n. But again, if we can reduce it, we can divide them both by 4, and so this gives us negative 1n, or just negative n, over 3 for our final answer. Okay, number 3. This time the denominator is x plus 4. That doesn't matter. So on the bottom is my common denominator, x plus 4. And then on the top, I need to add the x and the 5. Now, if I was multiplying them, I'd write 5x. But that's not what I was asked to do. I was asked to add them. So I just write x plus 5. And that's my final answer. So when the denominator is the same, it's really straightforward. So on number 4, the denominator is the same, x plus 5, and now I need to combine like terms with the top because I'm just adding this all together. X and 2x gives me 3x, negative 5 and negative 3 gives me negative 8. That's my final answer. Now, when you're doing these, you need to look when you're done to see if the top factors and anything would simplify, but nothing factors out of that, so we're good. Let's look at number 5. So my denominator is x minus 1. Now I need to be careful because I'm going to change this to a plus, but that changes the sign of everything in that second fraction, just like when we were adding and subtracting polynomials first semester. So now the denominator is the same, and then I combine like terms in the numerator. 3x and negative 2x is x, 2 and negative 4 is negative 2, and that's my answer. Now, why can't those x's cancel out? Because there's a plus or minus there. It's a group, and groups can only cancel if they match another group exactly. All right, number 6. The denominator is the same, so it's going to be x plus 1. Then combine the numerators, and we get x plus 2. Now, based on what we've done before, you just want to say that's the answer. But on the top does factor. I can factor out at 2. And then I get x plus 1, and on the bottom I have x plus 1, so it is a group, and because these groups match, they cancel out, so I'm using what we learned last time to get my answer of 2. Now, will that happen every time? No, but you definitely need to be looking for it. Okay, let's look at number 7. The denominator is the same, so it's 1 minus 4y. On the top, we combine like terms. 4y and 2y is 6y, and negative 1 and 3 is 2. Now, the top does factor. I can take out a 2, and I'm going to get 3y plus 1. But if I do that, that's not going to factor with or simplify with what's in the bottom, so this is our final answer. Number 8. Number 8, the denominator is the same, but we need to be careful because this is a minus. It changes the sign of everything in the second parentheses. All right, now I'm going to keep my denominator the same, the common denominator x minus 2, and then combine like terms in the numerator. 3x and negative x is 2x, 4 and 1 is 5. I can check, but the numerator doesn't factor, so we're done. Number 9. The denominator is the same, so I'm going to write x minus 3 on the bottom. And then for the top, because it's minus, I'm changing the signs, combining like terms, and I get 6x, 9 plus 5 is 14. Now the top does factor. I can take out a 2, but that's going to leave me with 3x plus 7. That will not simplify with x minus 3, so I don't need to write it that way. Last but not least, So we go to add them, but our denominators don't match this time. But to try and make them match or to look the same, we want to see if there's anything we can factor. The second one over here on the right is factor, but the one on the left we can factor. We can take out an x, and we're left with x plus 3. Oh, look at that. They actually are the same. They were just written differently. So when I write my final answer, on the bottom I have x plus 3. You want to use the factored form. And then on the top, combine like terms. 2 and 3 is 5x. 1 and negative 8 would be negative 7. The top doesn't factor, so it can't simplify any, and that's my answer.